dictionary definition of music is the art of arranging sounds in time through the elements of melody, harmony, rhythm, and timbre. Low Pass Filter is a show about the nature of this thing we call music, how it functions in people's lives, how it's contextualized by society, and why we find certain music meaningful. This is Low Pass Filter. Hello, and welcome to Low Pass Filter. This is a show where we talk about music and what it means in our lives. I'm here with fellow elf, Bandon Wayne.
Howdy.
I'm Mateo Noche, and we're going to talk Christmas music today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have said Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
If I knew Latin, I'd throw out some Latin, but I don't know any of that, so.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, I was just going to just set it up and just say that each month we go back and forth, we pick a topic. This time I pretty much failed to pick a topic. I needed a little help from my friend here. But we picked a very, apropos topic here, or... I mean, it was almost unavoidable.
Yeah.
Seasonal, I guess,
We should. I don't even think we were seasonal last year.
We were not seasonal last year, no, whatsoever.
We're starting to figure it out.
I guess so, We'll see how this goes. We may not ever be seasonal again. So I guess our topic is Christmas music, and I guess we could define terms here as we usually do.
Yeah, what is Christmas music?
Christmas music comprises a variety of genres of music, regularly performed or heard around the Christmas season, as you might think.
Interesting.
Music associated with Christmas may be purely instrumental, or in some cases carols, may employ lyrics about the nativity of Jesus, traditions such as gift-giving, merrymaking, cultural figures such as Santa Claus, and other topics. Some songs just are simply seasonal and wintry and associated with this time of year.
That is true. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to specifically reference Christmas, but can feel Christmassy.
Yeah. As we may have noted in past shows, music has a soothing effect on the body. There's studies out there, including one in 2016, that concluded that music boosts the body's immune system and reduces stress.
Why is it not working for me?
I don't know. Well, in the case of Christmas music, it may in fact have the opposite effect.
Man. I was going to say maybe I just haven't been listening to enough Christmas music yet.
No, I think you probably haven't been listening to enough, but I know I have. But, it's kind of the music that we love to hate. There's a lot of really great stuff that invokes both positive and negative feelings.
Indeed.
Depending, it's a lot of it is associated with our childhoods, and in fact, it's, a lot of Christmas music is boomers trying to recreate their childhood, essentially, with varying degrees of success.
Yeah. In my case, Gen Xers.
Gen Xers.
It's happening.
Yeah.
We're starting to really embrace the warm blanket of Christmas music. The rebellion is coming to an end, I think.
Okay. In other words, you've been beaten into submission. Is that the...
Possibly.
Okay. You've been bludgeoned by Santa Claus is coming to town.
Perhaps it's because we have families now, or... We've just kind of given in. I don't know, but I've just taken note that the sentiments are warming up a little bit amongst some of my alternative punk Gen X friends.
Sure, fair enough. And music has the power to invoke memories and give all sorts of emotions, be they negative or positive. I guess depending on how your childhood went, it might bring up bad memories. But the same songs that cause the brain to release cortisol, it says here, the stress hormone that increases the heart rate, triggers the amygdala, the brain's fear center. Sounds like you got a little bit of that happening right now.
I know about cortisol release.
Yeah.
I've learned that in the last few years. Trying to find strategic coping mechanisms
Yeah.
for those triggers.
Right.
Yeah, but you're bringing up thoughts about when you're at the department store or the mall shopping for Christmas, and this music is, constant and ever present. And if it's true that it's releasing these hormones, what is that doing to these people out in the wild to get the last Tickle Me Elmo or whatever?
Right. Yeah.
Causing panic and frenzy.
Well, I think, even that is something that's kind of gone by the wayside as malls continue to die and as people do their shopping online. And now it's just waiting for the UPS man to make sure he gets there before the 25th,
We still have our Targets and Walmarts and Costco's.
We do,
stuff, but,
yeah.
It is true. So much more of that commerce is online.
So maybe it's not running down to the mall and hearing, All I Want for Christmas, in a big echoey chamber. I don't know if you're aware of this movement of people who play the Toto song Africa, with big, huge room of reverb and stuff like that. It's like somehow it's kind of a movement,
Tied into Christmas time?
Not tied into Christmas time, but I'm just saying that Christmas music is often heard that way. If you're walking down the mall, big cavernous space, it's blaring out of, maybe not blaring out, but emanating from speakers all over the place, and it's kind of the psychoacoustic, ghostly Christmas music.
Yes, indeed. I would be quite comfortable with Toto playing ad nauseum at the shopping mall.
A better alternative.
Or Africa by Toto specifically. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
So I was having trouble coming up with a topic this week, but I like this one. I sometimes have trouble wrapping my head around exactly how to find the angle, find a talking point about a juicy topic. But as I started looking up Christmas songs, I started to feel the spirit of Christmas music.
That Gen X thing that's happening to some people?
Yeah, there's some great Christmas music out
there.
there.
Really is, actually.
And so then I started thinking more about why do we enjoy Christmas music? We may also talk about why we dislike hearing a lot of Christmas music, but if you really dig in, there's a lot that kind of defies that, ad nauseum, elevator sounding stuff. The songs that we've heard way too many times.
Right. Well, of the top 30 most performed Christmas songs, 43% of them were written in the 1930s. Another 40% were written in the 50s and 60s. Only 5 were written in the 70s and 2 after 1990. I think we know which ones those are, too. We're going to talk about them, at least one of them later.
I think one of them's on my list.
Yeah, one of them's on your list, yeah.
Interesting. So these older pre-mid-century Christmas songs are still popular today.
Absolutely.
They're still some of the top listened to, top loved.
Yeah. I mean, they've become standards, in the sense of, jazz standards, Christmas standards. And so they're performed and re-performed and reinterpreted and, sliced and diced and,
And I think that's an element of this, too, is interpretation, reinterpretation of popular Christmas songs. There's some that almost every popular artist that is compelled to do Christmas music will redo these songs.
Hence the Justin Bieber version of the Little Drummer Boy.
Wow. There you go. And then that actually references pre-popular music songs or traditional religious tunes, and I think our lists tend more towards the pop music side.
Yeah.
Modern
Well, mine just trends towards the weird.
Yeah,
But,
I noticed that.
That's what I like. But yeah, there's a whole another fleet of Christmas songs that came in not in the 1940s, but in the 1840s, in the 1850s, when Thomas Nast, that first dude to draw Santa Claus and sort of imagine the modern Santa Claus and the modern Christmas.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of carols that go harken back even farther, into the 13th or 14th century,
Right.
that brought forward into that time, and they're still echoing down the years right now. But yeah.
But we'll stick with
We'll stick with the weird although I got to say, on looking at your list, there's stuff on there that we would probably talk about as more traditional type songs that I really enjoy, and I think it's great. But so no time like the present. Why don't we just jump into the list and then let's start with what you have.
Okay. Well, there's no order to this, but I picked Happy New Year by ABBA.
I saw that.
And that's New Year related, but that goes
wintry,
along
seasonally.
with Christmas time.
And it's ABBA, so.
Won't get into how much of an ABBA fan I am, but maybe one day that'll be a topic.
That's okay. I'm a pretty big ABBA fan too.
I would not be surprised. I think you take stock of all the big ABBA tunes. Quite a pop music machine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Happy New Year. That's a beautiful song. You can listen to it any time of the year, I think.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then we'll jump back to the 50s, 60s. I don't remember the year, but "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree" by Brenda Lee.
Yeah.
Very old school rock and roll, pop music.
Which is having currency right now. It's in the top 100.
Is it?
At age 78,
Wow.
Brenda Lee is the oldest individual to break the top 100 with a song.
Wow. The oldest living person right now who had broken into the top 100.
Yep, it's Brenda Lee. Go Brenda!
Yeah, that's
you
amazing.
rock. Around the Christmas Tree.
She has a great voice, and that her take on that song, or I don't remember who wrote that song.
Probably Johnny Marks, who wrote every song.
It was a current song of that time.
Right.
That's just an iconic Christmas song right there.
Absolutely.
Feliz Navidad by Boney M. Kind of a...
What happened to Jose Feliciano, man?
His versions, that's classic, but I like Boney M quite a bit, and as I was, looking up Christmas songs, that one jumped out at me. I gave it a listen. I would put this in my playlist.
I'm not super familiar with that one. What is...
I don't know how well I could describe it. Boney M's kind of a disco pop group in the late 70s, early 80s. And I think German.
All right.
They were European, but they were kind of glammy, funky, spacey, weird.
You could look for all that in their version of the song.
Definitely, yeah. I thought it was a great version. There's no cohesion to the list here. We're jumping right to "Last Christmas" by Wham.
Okay.
I think that's a song that we could talk about.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it. I mean,
I actually just watched a movie last night that Megan found, a new Christmas film that the whole soundtrack was George Michael.
Okay.
It was interesting. Didn't expect that. It was a nice little soundtrack, but.
First of all, I wasn't aware that Wham had a Christmas song. I mean, I'm not surprised that they did, but it seemed like they were a band that lasted like 16 months, That kind of a comet that shot across the sky and went away pretty quickly.
You would think that, although I think more like 3 years.
Okay.
83 to 86, 87.
All right.
I think they actually have one of their songs is a redone. They redid a song and called it 87.
Okay.
Wham Rap 87. Not sure why they chose to do that, but yeah, basically 83 to 87. And then
George Michael went off on his own.
Yeah,
The other guy went sailing off into obscurity. I guess that's fair to say.
Unfortunately, I suppose.
I hope he invested well.
Maybe he didn't care. Maybe he was ready, if we're not together anymore, then I'll just...
Maybe Wham Beatlemania was done for him. He might have been
Possibly,
through that.
yeah, I didn't. But Last Christmas, you familiar with Last Christmas?
Honestly, I couldn't hum it if I were put on the spot. I'm sure I probably heard it, but I just
Last Christmas.
Not a huge Wham fan.
Yeah, that's
but
okay. Well, the basic refrain is Last Christmas I gave you my heart, then the very next day you gave it away.
Okay, all right. You done me wrong at Christmas time.
Yeah.
That's nothing worse than that too, by the way. I'm gonna throw that out there.
So I think that's an iconic song, and it's one of those ones that, from the '80s till now, it's become sort of an adult contemporary pop song.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, well, I have something completely different on my plate here. The first song that I always think of when it comes to Christmas songs is Santa Dog by the Residents.
I really don't know that song, to be honest.
What?
I did the Residents, but I just didn't dig deep enough for their Christmas stuff, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's like the song that sort of put them on the map. In fact, it was their first EP. Had that song. It's one of their most well-known songs, according to Wikipedia. Citation needed. But a lot of the copies were sent to close friends, family, celebrity figures such as Frank Zappa and Richard Nixon, who actually refused his copy of Santa Dog.
Return to Cinder.
Yeah, just to return to the Resident.
Yeah.
Great and vastly weird, as all the Residents. We've talked about the Residents, of course, on the show a couple times. And
is there a discernible sentiment coming from that song?
Just quirk, I think, is probably the sentiment.
It's not necessarily pro or anti-Christmas.
No. In fact, no, it's not anti-Christmas at all. It's just, I think it's about a little dog dressed up in a Santa suit, essentially, and what the thoughts that are going through his mind. So
Did that inspire a Tim Burton film?
Could. I think that, Tim, if you're out there, there's a film in that.
Yeah, we'll leave it to you to start with the Residents' Christmas song.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. As is There Ain't No Sanity Claus by The Damned. And The Damned, great, I don't know, were they proto-punk? Were they pre-punk? Were they...
That's a question for the ages. I think they kind of fit both.
Yeah, kind of pub rocky too. And
Yeah, definitely. That's what's so cool about The Damned.
But this song was, they lifted that directly from the 1935 Marx Brothers movie A Night at the Opera. Groucho's trying to explain a contract to Chico Marx, and when Groucho mentions the sanity clause, Chico responds, "You can't fool me, there ain't no sanity clause."
At some point you grow up and realize there's no sanity clause.
There is none, or not one you could make stick. There's no enforceable one.
Your parents lied to you.
Yeah. Another kind of quirky Christmas song is Merry Something to You by Devo.
Where do you get these? I'm on the wrong Christmas track here.
It's a great song, really, and it is not an anti-Christmas song by any basically it's got a great non-denominational message, whether you're Hindu or Jew.
Yeah.
Marry something to you, right?
Totally. Happy Festivus.
Whatever
for the rest of us.
That's right. Whatever it might be.
So what does that appear on? That would be in.
I think it was just issued as a single.
Yeah, it's not a.
It's not an album track, although it's by now I'm sure it's been compiled onto some Christmas compilation somewhere.
I hope so. I don't know that I've ever come across it.
Yeah. Well, probably it's a good time to mention that if you want to hear the songs that we're discussing, you can go to our Spotify playlist.
Indeed.
And you can listen along, or just as you're wrapping presents or doing whatever you do for Christmas, you can put our playlist on.
You could start a playlist from our playlists.
You could.
Add to them. Probably lead you to other amazing Christmas music. I had to stop myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I could have just kept going and going with it, but
for once, I think I actually went farther than you.
I noticed a little bit larger list.
I couldn't help myself. Well, one more. Let's do one more before we take our break.
Go for it.
This one is Elvez.
Oh man.
Brown Christmas. And Elvez is. He's from Mexico City, but I sort of consider him an LA homeboy because when I was down in Hollywood, working in Hollywood, he was playing everywhere.
Wow.
And he was all over the place, and I got a chance to see him a number of times in a number of different clubs. And so for Elvez, for people you don't know, he's a Mexican singer who comes out in the persona of Elvis Presley, hence the Elvez moniker.
Doing kind of a rockabilly.
It's a rockabilly.
Vintage rock and roll.
It's a rockabilly version of White Christmas, but it's Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
And so Elvez. I always wondered why he never got together with Dred Zeppelin. It just seemed like that would have been a natural fit.
Yeah.
But for some reason or another, they could never make their schedules mesh or something.
At least a one-off collaboration.
I guess he doesn't. He's bigger than Dred Zeppelin, I guess.
Perhaps he thought of himself as
He didn't want to sign on to their friend.
was too novelty for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. Although he was pretty novelty, but and still is apparently. So he's still out there making music. Well, I think that's a good place to jump off and take our first break. You are listening or watching Low Pass Filter, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Low Pass Filter. Elf Bandon Wayne here. Elf Mateo Noche here. We've got our appropriate seasonal gear.
I don't wear hats too often, but I'm feeling pretty good about this.
They're actually, they're kind of comfy. There's, you got to get your little pom pom at a jaunty angle.
It's cozy.
And you're off to the races. So we're talking about Christmas music, what it means to us and to the world.
So we started off kind of talking about how it can evoke feelings of winter time, getting cozy around the fire, time with your family,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some eggnog.
which to me is the very best part of the holiday. I mean, it really, before we went on camera, we were talking about, commercial. We used to complain about how commercial interests have hijacked the holiday, and I don't even think it's just so far in the stratosphere now. And plus becoming a hot button, cultural issue too, as well as, people lining up on what side of Christmas you're on. You're either with us or you're against us.
Well, I was thinking about how there's those kind of traditional feelings that we might have, but Matt's Christmas music taste is very left of the dial. So I'm curious about what it's like at his home when he's blasting the residents. Is everyone making popcorn balls for stringing up around the Christmas tree?
Well,
or?
I mean, not everybody in my house is down with the residents, so there's that. So we end up playing a lot of traditional music, including some of the things that you have on your list.
I got some somewhat traditional things, but kind of why I was talking about that is because my next selection is a pretty edgy Christmas song, at least kind of in the pop sphere. A little known group called the Waitresses.
Ah, yes.
Who
We both have this one on our list.
great, yeah. I thought that I skimmed your list, and so first off, I might say that this is my favorite Christmas song of all time, at least for a non-traditional Christmas song. I can't remember the first time I ever heard it, but I think it was something that when I really heard it, it kind of echoed from the past. Like, some points along the way I'd heard this song but never really registered it, and then some years back it was like, what is this? This is the coolest. And then if you know anything about that group, they pretty much are a one-hit wonder.
Right.
And this could almost be as good as their best song,
Right, and interesting to note, this was basically a tossed-off, very last-minute song. I think his name is Butler. I think he was the guitar player in this band. Basically, wrote this song in a taxi on the way to the recording session. They were in the middle of a difficult tour, and they got conned into making a Christmas song, or they needed something to complete a record.
They probably had some kind of contractual obligation.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris Butler is his name. And he just said that everybody I knew in New York was running around like a bunch of fiends. It wasn't about joy, it was trying to cope with it, right?
Yeah.
And I think this song captures that really well. And plus, just for me personally, the band was big, again, like Elvez. At the same time, I was working in Hollywood, and they were on the radio a lot and playing around town a lot. So, again, they feel like homeboys and girls as well in this song. Really, I identify positively with that time, Christmas in Hollywood in the early 80s,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I was going to say their sound and that song is very 1980s.
yeah.
Smack dab in the middle of the 80s. If you think of a television show like Square Pegs or early MTV, stuff like that, they really feel that way. Not to stick on that group too much, but that song and their other their other music is on this weird line of kind of New York no wave and new wave. They're almost like the most new wave sounding group of the 80s in a way.
Yeah, this song has a killer bass line.
Yeah.
It is just one of the most infectious.
It's amazing, and the horns.
Yep.
It's got these really cool horns in it. So, if you want a funky hip Christmas tune. I would definitely check that one out.
Well, here's just a little bit of Chris Butler trivia. He went to Kent State University. He was in the crowd when the National Guardsmen opened fire on the students, and he currently lives in Jeffrey Dahmer's house.
Okay, there's a cheery Christmas anecdote.
There you go. But Christmas around the Chris Butler house is probably.
And unfortunately, sadly, the female lead singer passed away.
Yes.
Young as well.
That was so tragic. Yeah.
They're a rad group that really only has one complete album and then a smattering of songs that I think are compiled into another record or CD that you could get that actually has the Christmas song on it.
I have this as, I think it's called A Special Gift or something like that. It's one of those Christmas compilations that came out in the late 80s, early 90s. Or, yeah, it's on some Christmas compilation.
Yeah. Well, so then I go from there to Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
That's a long-standing, iconic Christmas song.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because in my wanderings through YouTube, I came across the Jackson 5 and Cher.
Oh, yeah.
And she was in this super shiny, spangly outfit, and they did like a medley of Jackson 5 hits and stuff. And then you forget, because Michael just eclipsed kind of the rest of his brothers, but you forget about how great they all were, great singers they were, and great musicians. Yeah. And this kind of pointed that out because they all had a little solo spotlight in this medley, and they're all fantastic, Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, but also love the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
They made more records than Michael did on his own. There's a lot of great Jackson 5 material.
Oh yeah, they were a hit-making machine there in the late '60s and maybe early into the early '70s. So they made a lot of really great records.
Yeah. So that's a classic one. Here's one that I had not listened to before, and now I want this album. It was the Sharon Jones Christmas album.
Wow.
And this song is actually a Hanukkah song, 8 Days of Hanukkah. But now I want to hear the whole record because this song is Christmas heat.
Right.
This song is dope.
Yeah.
I love all Sharon Jones, but
I
picked up everything she did was amazing, but I hadn't thought to grab the Christmas record and actually just looked up to see if I could order it from my distributor, and it was on back order.
Oh, boo.
But
yeah, I'm really curious now because I didn't know this song existed, and I didn't know there was a Christmas record. And of course, this is a Hanukkah song, so.
Yeah, but she just has a way with soul. And,
man.
Anything she touches. And so when I clicked on that and started listening to it, I would have expected a more straightforward Christmas sounding song, but the Christmas sound is really kind of buried in just a great soul tune. So
I am still kicking myself for not going to see them at the depot up at HSU.
Twice.
Yeah.
Her and Charles Bradley came twice, and I'm embarrassed to even say this on camera here, but missed all those.
Right. Okay, well,
what you got?
I'm going to bounce back to maybe something that is a little more traditional, but in a very odd and bizarre way, which is Peace on Earth, Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Bing Crosby and David Bowie, one of the most unusual pairings of singers, I think, that ever occurred on the face of the earth.
It seems like it, but I think it kind of highlighted that. I'm not quite sure how to put it, but maybe the fondness that Bowie had for the crooners that came before, the pop singers from before his time, maybe. Kind of get that feeling from it.
Well, he said publicly that he wasn't really super familiar with Bing Crosby, but his mom.
Oh, okay.
His mom loved him, so it was one of the reasons he agreed to do it in the first place. And yeah, so in case you haven't seen this, it's on YouTube. You can go and watch. It's from a Christmas special that Bing did about a week, or actually about a month before he died.
Oh wow, okay.
He passed away shortly after that. But it is, and it's amazingly normal, really. And Bowie's even said that he was trying to normalize, whatever that means, his career at the time, and another reason why he agreed to do it. But it gives you a huge appreciation for both of them, really. Bing Crosby, of course, we've talked about this in the past. It was an innovator. He was the first singer to really make singing music, recorded music, intimate. He came around right when first electronic music was being recorded. Electronic meaning instead of singing into a horn,
right.
He sang into a microphone. He was the master of microphone technique, and a very intimate singer with a long career of 5+ decades of performing.
Yeah.
And Bowie, of course, had already, by the time this happened, had already been on the scene for probably a good 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just, two solid performers, consummate performers, doing it with no kind of artifice or anything else like that. And it's really kind of become one of my favorite.
That's cool. Yeah, I think the last time I watched the video, I just got kind of a feeling of Bowie having kind of an adoration, sort of a spirit about the performance, but I didn't realize it was more inspired by his mother. But it does seem kind of like a generational kind of thing, like two generations coming together.
And Bing was a pretty hip dude. He didn't look like it. He did orange juice commercials with Bob Hope, and that drug him down a little bit. But he actually was on the forefront of things like integration and just social causes and stuff like that. So he was a pretty wise guy, and nobody stays on the scene that long without having some smarts.
That's really cool.
We'll just skip over this one. This is kind of the same in the same vein as the Damned song. This is "Oi to the World" by the Vandals.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of their Hanukkah song. And the Vandals do a Christmas concert every year. They've done a Christmas concert every year since they released their Christmas record, which is awesome, by the way. So they only do it once a year, and it's like a big deal every year. But they play in Anaheim. It's something called the Winter Formal that they do every year. Nice. And then one more. The other one I have, which also I think is kind of become a standard in a way, which is "Happy Christmas, War is Over."
Yeah.
John and Yoko, they had been doing a media campaign to try and highlight the Vietnam War. They famously did a bed-in where they got out on. They went to bed after their honeymoon and were there for months and months and holding press conferences, and they also did a big billboard campaign with this "Happy Christmas, War is Over" message all over the country. But there are, the phrase also appears in other people's songs, like the Phil Oaks and, of course, the Doors, "The Unknown Soldier." So there's no evidence that they ripped that off or anything else like that. But this is a song that has a very warm and positive feeling. Yeah. And boy, I think it's never been more current than it ever has been, considering current events, I guess.
Well, it seems possible that song will remain relevant into the future. Hopefully not, but it continues to be relevant.
Because war is over if you want it to be, if you want it.
Yeah, and by saying Happy Christmas, war is over, it's kind of like that, especially for that time, would have been the ultimate real gift, not the commercial aspect of celebrating Christmas, but something deeply meaningful.
As it so would be today.
Yeah. That's a classic tune. Yeah. When it comes on this time of year, it just kind of washes over you. Just kind of a sweet song. Yeah, I didn't put that one on my list, but that is definitely
Unlike Wonderful Christmas Time, which makes me want to reach out and just grasp Sir Paul by the throat and squeeze really hard.
I wasn't sure.
It's just an earwig, right? You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
It is just, it's like one of the worst earwigs, and now I'm going to be singing it in my brain because I said the words Wonderful Christmas Time. You're welcome.
I was going to possibly discuss that song. I did not put it on my list, and I did not put it on my list because I cannot stand that song. It makes me quite uncomfortable. Like you said, it's an earwig, earworm. And I was kind of curious if you did or did not like that song. There are people that like that song, I believe. It's Paul McCartney.
Right.
You know, people are going to get behind Paul McCartney.
Well, let me say this about that. I mean, it's a well-constructed little ditty, right? Like everything that Paul does, but it is insidious. It just worms its way into your brain, and for that reason, I don't know if hate is the word I would use, because hate is a useless emotion, in case you don't know. It's really irritating.
Was he feeling? Was he feeling like frustrated? Was he feeling kind of?
I don't know what the motivation would be.
It's the way he sings the refrain.
Right.
It's the way he sings Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Right.
I have that 45 single in my boxes of primarily 80s 45s, and I go through looking for records and I come across that, and I feel like I have it simply to remind myself that I can't stand that song.
I can't even look at the title without it popping into my head.
Right.
I mean, it's one of those songs that you just cannot get rid of.
That's what I'm wondering. Maybe he knew that it was going to be like this annoyingly infectious
I'm
song.
guessing it's just like a lot of things that Paul McCartney did. It just flowed out of him, and he never thought about it again. I'm sure he just dropped the song and said, "Okay, all right, no, moving on."
Yeah.
So
I don't mean to be so negative, but
I'm right there with you. And I don't mean to be negative either, but we've come up to our next break, and we'll take this time to recover from Wonderful Christmas Time, and I hope you will too. We'll be back with some more Low Pass Filter in just a moment. Welcome back to Low Pass Filter. Mateo, Noche here, Bandon, Wayne there. We're talking your Christmas music to this time.
Yeah.
Is it Christmas music something you enjoy? Is it something that you run and cower from? Is it maybe a mixture of both?
Yeah.
Does it bring you good feelings, negative feelings? That's the question I guess we're asking.
Well, and that's something, that I kind of wanted to bring into the discussion here. We have more specific songs to talk about, but I was thinking about how, not just how we might feel about Christmas music personally, but how so many artists do Christmas songs and how they feel about doing Christmas songs. And a lot of us might kind of think of it as, well, it's this one time a year we're going to hear Christmas music. We go out shopping, or maybe at home we have a small collection of favorite Christmas songs and we put them on as we're trimming the tree, or having Christmas dinner or something like that. But when you really start to think about it, that is a massive well of recorded music history, especially since the mid 20th century, or, well, you brought up going back to the 30s. Popular music artists feel compelled to do Christmas music, and sometimes it might
Or they are compelled. Their label says, hey,
Yes.
you better get in the studio and crank out some Christmas music, because, your rest of your catalog ain't doing so good,
That could be the case, and I was going to suggest that's perhaps part of it too, as a commercial recording artist does have obligations under a contract that was signed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's management, and there's investors in the mix and all that kind of stuff. But you've got Christmas music by some of the greatest soul artists, the greatest rock and roll artists. It can be an orchestral thing. It's such a deep tradition in popular music. And if I didn't know this already, looking up Christmas music on Spotify to make my playlist, it just kind of hit me how massive it is.
It is. And even I have a Christmas song called Rock and Roll Christmas.
Heck yeah.
The taping of which you can see on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me about this?
I'm telling you now. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good song that should have been a monster, but I wasn't signed to any major labels or any label at all, so it never really went anywhere.
It still happened. Is it on Spotify? You got
It's not on Spotify, but it is on YouTube.
Okay.
So it's called Rock and Roll Christmas.
Go check that out and
Yeah.
give it some likes.
Yeah, I might even put the link down in the doodly-doo
Make a
there.
comment. Get it in the algorithm.
It gets played on Access Humboldt every year.
try to
I don't know
get,
if it's happening this year, but anyway.
Get it to go viral.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song. So what else do you have for us?
Well, let's just group these together. I got some hip hop Christmas tunes.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have.
I do as well.
Too, So Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
Yep.
Big time rap Christmas song. One of the first ever documented, probably.
Mm-hmm.
It also appears on a very iconic Christmas album, the one that has the Keith Haring artwork on the front.
That's the what I was talking about, a series of records.
Oh, that was what you were referencing. Yeah. So, Very Special Christmas.
That's it. Very Special Christmas, Volume 2.
And there are more than one.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3, I think.
Yes, there are.
So that appeared there. Christmas Rappin' by Curtis Blow.
Just before we move on from Run DMC, just want to point out that their video for Christmas in Hollis beat out Michael Jackson's Bad for the Rolling Stone Video Award of 1987.
Wow.
Which was directed by Martin Scorsese, by the way. The Michael Jackson one. So that was a monster. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a trip. That is an iconic song. And then Curtis Blow, one of the early commercial rappers, Christmas Rappin'. And then a little lesser known song called Christmas Rap by the Treacherous 3, which I knew about from the movie Beat Street.
Okay.
So 1984, I go to see Beat Street as a 10-year-old kid, and that's a moment in the film. They're at this kind of makeshift underground venue, and the Treacherous Three perform a Christmas song. Notably about Treacherous Three, that's where the rapper Kool Moe Dee originated.
Okay.
So you're not going to find that Christmas rap song outside of Spotify unless you have the Beat Street soundtrack, most likely. Perhaps there's some other collection of Christmas-oriented hip-hop music, but yeah, that's a little bit more obscure, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm not gonna go through my entire list. I just want to mention You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Thurl Ravenscroft, who you might know as the guy that did They're Great, Tony the Tiger.
Okay.
But he was kind of in the Disney stable of singers.
Yeah.
He had a singing group called the Mellow Men,
Okay.
which were on Bing Crosby records. They were but he was a big booming baritone voice.
Yeah.
And like if you go to the Haunted Mansion, in Disneyland, his voice is all over the place in that, and.
Yeah.
Just he was in the Disney stable, so.
And so that Christmas song comes directly from the animated Grinch
Right.
film. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, around my house, can't have Christmas without James Brown. So I have Go Power at Christmas
Okay.
by James Brown. But you could have picked anything off of that James Brown Christmas record. And it just goes to show you that James Brown is no less brilliant at Christmas time than he is any of the other 11 months of the year.
Now, does he have only one, or are there more than one Christmas album?
There are more than one Christmas
Yeah,
album.
that's what I-
Yeah,
that's what I
he
thought.
liked Christmas. There's one that's a compilation of a bunch of singles that he did, and then there's another one that was just a straight up Christmas
yeah.
album. So yeah, he liked Christmas, and he did a lot of Christmas music. So, and it's all fabulous. So, that's about the only one I can get away with. I can't get away with Santa Dog, but I can get away with James Brown around my house.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to jump over to your list because there's a couple ones I wanted to talk about. You have Christmas Time Is Here by the Vince Guaraldi Trio.
Yeah.
And that whole record, the Charlie Brown Christmas record, and just the Charlie Brown Christmas special, just so evocative for me. If all the other things that happen at Christmas time make me hate it, that music and that animated special makes me love it again, right? Yeah. Because it's just kind of like putting on a warm, loud Christmas sweater, It just
It really is.
You just kind of wrap yourself up in that song.
Indeed, and the Charles Schultz, Charlie Brown animated shows that we saw as kids would not be the same without Vince Guaraldi's music.
No.
They fit like, they were absolutely meant to be together. Either Vince Guaraldi understood, on some kind of emotional level what Charlie Brown and the Peanuts gang and that was all about. But anyway, we are old enough that we remember a time when you knew the television programming schedule was going to show the Halloween special,
Yep.
the Thanksgiving special, the Christmas special, 2 weeks, a month in advance.
Yeah.
And we plan to watch them. I don't know that that's such a thing
They don't.
anymore.
First of all, CBS sold the rights to that, and I think now belongs to one of the powerhouses like Sony or HBO or something like that. And so it's pay for play. If you want to watch that special, you now have to fork over, whatever they want for it, $7.99 or whatever they get for a movie or a show nowadays. So.
And that's sad, because that, it was the kind of thing that would come on television that I think it had a spirit about it that holds up today. I can't quite put it into words. So this album, the Vince Guaraldi Christmas album, which actually does feature the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown,
Linus and Lucy.
that's on there as well. Yeah. Maybe they tacked on the other seasonal.
It's not on my copy, but that's
I think
not,
maybe
it's not to say that it
maybe
isn't.
the modern version they
Yeah.
But anyway, it was progressive for its time.
Yeah.
The cast of characters were diverse. There was just something emotionally positive and wholesome about it, without being pandering,
Right.
without being cheesy, and that tone still resonates today, I think, and that's an iconic Christmas album.
Right, and with all the problems I have with the Christmas time, even the religious message that Linus, I'll tell you what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. I don't even object to that. It's just it just fits, the spirit of what's going on there, and the spirit was. I think what a lot of people take away is this reaction against the commercialism of Christmas time, and what is Christmas really about, which is family, love, and that warm feeling that you get when you're around people that you care about, and I think that even if they have put it behind a paywall, I still think that music and that show belongs to the ages. I think it belongs to all of us. I think we've internalized it, and I don't think just putting it behind a paywall can take it away from us. So
I think you expressed that really well. Yeah, even to having the spindly little Christmas tree with no pine needles on it, and
well, oddly, I always wanted that tree, and I basically was vetoed year after year by certain members of my family. But when COVID hit, we didn't go out and get a Christmas tree, so we just went out to the backyard and cut one down, and it was a Charlie Brown Christmas tree with 5 branches on it, and I loved that. It's one of my favorite, even given the terrible circumstances. It was one of my favorite Christmas trees that we've ever had.
That's great. Yeah. And so
then the other one, because I don't want to run out of time here because we're about to do that. Is a modern Christmas song, which we went through the statistics before, not that many of them out there. So All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey. Basically, Mariah's licensed to print her own money. It sold 16 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling digital singles of all time.
Didn't plan on ending this episode on that Mariah Carey song, but earlier we were talking about the Paul McCartney song that is this obnoxious earworm that personally I don't care for. I put this Mariah Carey song on my list actually to highlight a song that is also a ubiquitous earworm that many people detest, and there's memes about it. I actually really like that song. There's something about the phrasing, the melodic phrasing in that song.
Is she doing her usual showboating in that one?
Maybe live.
Could be.
So that's an example of a song that I kind of defies my feeling of looking for less overplayed, less commercial Christmas songs. when I hear that song, it doesn't agitate me. I actually quite like it.
I'm just going to have to straight up confess that I couldn't hum that tune. I know it's huge, and just like a lot of things, Mateo, Noche is completely out of step with this. This one sort of passed me by, but I know it's a phenomenon, and it's got the sales numbers to prove it, and sort of brought her career back because she's sort of been on the wane here for a while. But now she can get out here and sing this song and just take home a wheelbarrow full of money.
Macy's parades and all that kind of stuff. That's Mariah Carey's life now, I think.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts about Christmas music before we wrap the thing up in a nice bow with some pretty paper?
Well, I think we touched on some of our feelings about Christmas time music, but I would leave it with. I really want to expand my playlist on Spotify here and listen to a whole bunch of Christmas music over the next week.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm feeling.
Okay, well, you're a braver man than me. But
I'll play it in the shop,
Absolutely. Well, you got to, right? That's retail music.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to about do it for the Low Pass Filter Christmas special. As always, I want to thank Bandon Wayne for being here. I'll thank myself for being here too, because
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And, Merry holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
However you celebrate this season, I hope it's a good one for you. And don't forget, our Spotify playlist is down in the links below. You can listen to it as you are having your eggnog or gefilte fish or whatever you do in your holiday season.
And for the YouTube, like, subscribe.
That's right.
Share.
Just give us the gift of subscribing. That's all you have to do. People on the radio, you kind of have to take potluck, but those of you who are in the YouTube world, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell and do all that stuff that apparently is required of you on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you in 2024.
Thanks for watching Low Pass Filter. Contact the hosts at lowpassfilter2020@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified about future shows.